Hi Capricorn, this is your reading for April 2019. Thank you so much for joining. Please do set aside anything that you're doing so you're not multitasking. I want all of your presence here with me for your reading so that you get the most out of your time with me. While I'm shuffling, please take a moment here to check in with your higher self and your guides and ask them to connect to my higher self and my guides so that we can create a feedback loop to get really clear and relevant messages that are tailored especially for you. This works beyond time and space, so even though you're watching this reading after I've given it, if you take a moment to actually do that little visualization and make that connection, you'll get a much more clear reading. Okay, let's take a look. Capricorn. There's a lot of pentacle cards coming out in your reading for this month, Capricorn. You have 2 and 3, 10, page, knight, and king. And 9, excuse me, let's do that again. 2, 3, 9, page, knight, and king of pentacles. So I guess there's a dominance in that area of the reading for this month with regard to your finances and your work, your home life, and your career. I want to start here at the center of the reading. You have the 3 of Cups in the upright position, crossed by the 8 of Cups. What does this say? Well, it's a bit of a dichotomy, isn't it, really? Because on one hand, it's saying that there's like, perhaps at this time you might be feeling some demands or some pull from your family and friends to socialize and be with them and network and connect and be in social situations and circumstances. But you may feel more like you actually just want to really be on your own and go on an inner journey and spend this time kind of looking within. That's what I feel here with this 8 of Cups. I suspect that for some of you there's some things that you wish to address emotionally that is more important to you at this time than frivolous socializing. Now, a lot of court cards. You have 2 kings and 2 knights in the reading. King of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, King of Cups, and Knight of Cups. Here at the foundation of the reading, you have the 6 of Wands in reverse. At the foundation here, this is coming from the unconscious mind. And then this card in this position here, the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, describes how you see yourself at this time. And interestingly, both of these cards can kind of talk about self-confidence, self-worth, a type of success, a type of, you know, abundance or well-being in physical ways. Seeing them both here in reverse says to me that you may be dealing with issues around self-confidence at this time. You may not be feeling so sure of yourself. You may not be feeling so abundant. You may not be feeling so like you may be looking deep within, and that may be what some of this journey is of the emotional exploration that you may be wanting to undertake here, is to actually look at what those issues are. Like, why is it that you may not be feeling so confident, and how can you work on those things? How can you create those real-time feelings of self-worth, self-value, and self-confidence? So I feel like that could be like a predominant issue from some of you this time. Given also that there's all these pentacle cards in the reading as well, I do feel like there is something there relating to how you see yourself and how other people perceive you in the world, and how you're able to manifest and draw towards you situations that feel like aligned and synchronized and in tune with your visions of what you're wanting to manifest. With this Nine of Pentacles here in reverse, you have the Knight of Cups upright. So I do feel like this, and normally the Knight of Cups can be about an offer, you know, a love offer, a romance, or some kind of like situation where someone's trying to give you something. But in this pairing here, the Knight of Cups in reverse has its back to you. So I feel that in this situation, this is not about you receiving offers from somewhere outside of yourself, but I feel like this is kind of describing how you're looking to find ways where that kind of love, that kind of self-love is being drawn up from within. And that's a very valuable task to undertake, and it's one that we all ought to work on, not just in times when we feel low and we maybe feel weak or are struggling a little bit within, but at all times. Like, that's kind of the foundation of wellness and well-being, I think, in life, is to kind of constantly cultivate self-love, self-care, self-worth. Now, in this position here, it's interesting to see these two cards in the upright. You have the in this quadrant of the reading, we're talking about what's in your environment. So here you have the Three of Pentacles upright with the Page of Pentacles. So some of you may be receiving offers at this time to collaborate. You might be finding people coming to you with communication that is bringing ideas to you that they want to share with you, that you want to work on, and that could be something that you undertake. It doesn't say whether or not you actually do, but it's just there in your environment. There's opportunities there for collaboration, for work. As I said, there is a lot of Pentacles cards here, so does this have this feeling here of like, there could be a focus this month on your work. However, you have across the central axis of the reading here, from the recent past to the near future, there is this Ten of Pentacles in reverse through to the Knight of Pentacles. Let's do it this way. And across the center of the reading over that Three of Cups and Eight of Cups there. So I feel for some of you, this could be speaking about a relationship. There isn't a lot of like classical relationship cards here in the reading, but if you're coming from a very recent breakup, this could be just describing that's where you are right now. Like you may have recently kind of moved out of the family home, or broken up with your partner, separated, and gone your own way. And there could be an element here, either this Three of Cups here is describing how, you know, your friends maybe want to kind of support you and help distract you from some of the pain and discomfort by just sort of like taking you out and wanting to kind of have like fun with you and party with you. And then this Eight of Cups is crossing you, saying that no, you don't want to do that. You want to actually just focus on like undertaking this journey of understanding how you can correct your emotional dissonance right now and get more back into alignment with yourself, finding that self-love, finding that self-confidence again, finding that like love within and confidence within. The Knight of Pentacles is just kind of the bookend of that, like Ten of Pentacles in reverse and Knight of Pentacles in reverse here is saying that like what was committed has been like is no longer committed. What was a commitment is no longer a commitment. Now in this position here, you have your hopes and fears. Two of Pentacles upright with the Eight of Swords in reverse. I like this pairing. This is giving me a lot of encouraging insight into your process at the moment. So I do feel like there is an element here of you realizing like how responsible you are in certain ways with regard to your physical environment, your emotional well-being, the mental space that you hold, and your development in general. Like this Eight of Swords in reverse is for me, a much better position than for it to be in the upright, because it's, you know, in the reverse, in the upright position, the Eight of Swords says to me that you are blind to your own creations, and you are self-sabotaging and not really willing or able to understand your place in your situation. But in reverse, I do feel as though there is a willingness here to take responsibility and understand, like, that the situation that you're in is one of your own creation, and not in a like woe is me kind of a way, but just in a like, oh, I understand, I see more clearly now that like I actually like invented this situation through my thoughts and actions, and I may have put myself in a binding situation, but I can just as easily take myself out of that. Now this two of Pentacles here paired with that, I do feel it's just like this could be an indicator showing that you may have been able to come to this understanding and realization of that concept that I just spoke about through a physical interaction with another person, where there's a reflection, you know, where there's that correspondence going on here. You may have come to understand a lot about yourself in recent times, potentially through this relationship. If this reading is about a relationship separation or dissolving, this could be describing the fact that you learned a lot about yourself and your place in the world and your creation ability, your manifestation ability through this reciprocity with this person, and that it became very enlightening, even though it may not have been that, it was clearly not comfortable. And these other cards here, like talking about, you know, confidence and self-worth here. But it is clear that it has been a very valuable experience. Of this King of Pentacles crowning the card. These three cards here, the King of Pentacles, the Temperance, and the King of Cups in reverse, these are kind of all describing outcome cards for me, where it's sort of like the King of Pentacles is sort of saying like you are now using this time to understand better about your value, your worth, and that you're focusing your attention on how you can gain more stability and groundedness and centeredness and comfort in the world through your own establishment of your physical energy in a specific way. And that's very empowering. I'm really happy to see the King of Pentacles there in the crowning card position. And then Temperance and the King of Cups in reverse here as your outcome cards. I feel like this is part of the process that's ongoing here with this Eight of Cups reversed over the Three of Cups, where it is that you are, you know, you may be dedicating some of your attention and your time and in your meditative practice, in your healing practice, to resolve and reconcile some pain from the past, whether this King of Cups is a person, or whether this is just describing a kind of emotional state at the moment where you are working to resolve and restore and heal your emotional body, overcome disappointments and sadness, maybe kind of building emotional intelligence through an experience that you've just encountered, and work on, again, resolving and accepting and forgiveness through the power of the Temperance card. The Temperance card has come up in almost every reading this month, and I do feel that there's something energetically going on, perhaps astrologically, with like karmic experiences that are being kind of flushed out, and there being an element here of acceptance and forgiveness being kind of a general theme that I'm seeing coming out for almost every sign this month. So that's a very powerful tool to work with, you know, acceptance. In order to create change and transform oneself and one's life, one's situation, the step that must come first is acceptance, because from that place then you can actually create change and movement. So working on accepting the situation, how things played out, how you feel, how you spoke, how you behaved, how the other person spoke, how they behaved, is step one to being able to restore an emotional well-being and to become more emotionally intelligent. As that step one is to work on acceptance, and from that place you can work towards change. Now, let's see what's at the bottom of the deck. The Sun in reverse, Ace of Cups, beautiful, Seven of Pentacles reversed, and King of Swords reversed. Another Pentacles card coming out. I feel like the Sun is offering a lot of positivity and optimism on the situation, and seeing it here with the Ace of Cups is really, really beautiful. There is this like outpouring or brimming over with like unconditional love that is on offer here to kind of like shine light on a situation and make a breakthrough is going to be through using those tools like unconditional love and optimism, the healing power of light and love, like the sun energies, like kind of shining awareness on a set of circumstances to help resolve and heal it. And then the Seven of Pentacles with the Seven of Pentacles in reverse with the King of Swords in reverse. Now you have 3 kings in your reading. I feel that this is a message here just to say that, like, if you've been in a situation with a person, if this King of Swords is a person here, and things haven't like kind of maybe played out in the way that you had have hoped. Like maybe you invested time and money and energy into something, whether it was a business partnership, a person, a relationship of some kind, and it feels like it has been not as what's the word? I'm hearing redemption. I'm going to look up the meaning of that just to see exactly what that's about. Redemption, the act of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil, God's plan. Hang on. The action of regaining or gaining possession of something in exchange for payment, a clearing a debt. Okay, redemption. So I feel that the message there is that if you were trying to, like, if you've been in a relationship where there's been this element of trying to save or heal or help someone, I think that could be an understanding here that has passed, that's come to pass, like that you cannot actually clear karma in that way, and you may be coming to realize that kind of approach or that kind of process or attempting to correct some kind of karmic debt as you may see it by trying to save someone will never ever work. And it's important, I think, to redress the way we define karma and the way we understand it, because it's not that. You can't save somebody, and there's no debt to come back and pay out off for something that happened in the past in a certain way. It's just, life is simply about our own growth and awareness and expansion and understanding, and we can do that through the law of correspondence, through reflecting with another, but we can only work on our own growth. And if we can do that in tandem with someone, that's great, but we cannot save another person in order to clear our own karmic debt. So I think this is about purging that idea and releasing yourself from that kind of concept of you maybe being indebted or owing somebody something or being able to save them or help them in some way, and releasing yourself from that kind of idea in order to potentially like invoke relationships in the future that don't have that attached to them, because I think you may be bringing this kind of energy into your reality, and this may not be the first time you've experienced it. So let me just check over here if there's anything else. I feel that's it for the general reading, Capricorn. In regards to that redemption, if this part of the reading was more about an actual investment that you made and maybe someone that you were working with in business or whatever, I think this is again about accepting that maybe that opportunity has come to pass, and it may not be able to be redeemed. You may not be able to get your investment back, and I think again, while that might be difficult, while that may have affected your confidence in some ways as well, I think it's important to just accept that you may not be able to recover what you invested, and simply accepting and moving on is going to be the best way to deal with that situation, rather than clutching on to the past, clutching on to a dream, hoping that at some point you'll be able to recover. Just write it off and move on, and step forward clearly into the next endeavor, into the next situation with an open heart, with trust again, but knowing that you've learned from an experience, and you don't need to make that same mistake again. If you use the situation, whether it's a business investment or a relationship, to review the circumstances, review the experiences, review the the exchanges, study the correspondence that's going on there, and see what is there for you to learn about yourself. What can be revealed from the unconscious mind? What can be understood and integrated into your consciousness about yourself and your own blind spots that need to be shown to you, that you can see from your experience, in order to break free of certain types of limitations or shortcomings that you have maybe been operating through in an unconscious way, in order to release yourself from certain types of repeating patterns that you may have been experiencing, and moving forward in ways that are more fresh and clarified and free from any kind of like residual effects of previous unconscious patterning. Okay, I feel that's it for the general reading, Capricorn. I'm going to take the Voyager deck now and shuffle again, give you a higher octave reading. This will hopefully reveal any additional insight that will help us understand what's happening on a karmic and spiritual level. Hopefully also provide insight on how to move forward, how to best work with the energies that are available to us to make the most out of the opportunities that we have. So while I'm shuffling, please take a moment here to, again, tune in with me, tune in with the deck, and send your energy over. Blast the deck with your energy so I can get really clear messages for you. The Fool, crossed by 9 of Wands, 10 of Wands reversed, 6 of Worlds reversed, 6 of Cups reversed, Woman of Worlds reversed, 4 of Wands, Strength reversed, Child of Crystals reversed, 10 of Crystals reversed, 10 of Worlds reversed. So you have 3 10s here in the top part of the reading. Woman of Wands, 4 of Cups, and the Moon reversed. Okay, let's take a look. Well, seeing these 3 10s come out at the top of the reading, there's definitely obviously an energy of culmination, of endings, of change. When there's 2 or more 10s coming out in a reading, it's definitely an indicator that there could be an end of a relationship or an end of a job, or some kind of like major culmination or completion of something in a person's life, where there's then going to be pretty big transition happening as a result. And having the Fool at the center of the reading is, of course, always an indicator of a new beginning too. And I'm happy to see this card in the upright position here. It does tell me that you have actually, or you are creating a space of availability within you to the situation that you're in, so that you actually do glean the lessons that are there for you, and you don't just like move through it and go through the motions and come out of a difficult time and start something new without actually collecting the treasures of wisdom that are there available to you. The crossing card is the 9 of Wands, and in this deck it's called Integrity. So I do feel that there is something there about like learning how to kind of just functioning in a more holistic way for yourself. Like if you've been in dysfunctional relationships, if you've been kind of, you know, in the world in certain ways where, you know, troublesome energies with people and you're not sure why, there is something there about learning how to function in a more holistic way. And I feel like some of what that is like honesty and clear boundaries. You have Strength here, 4 of Cups, 4 of Wands with the Moon. So there's energy here around, again, like being consistent in your word and your action, like making sure what you're thinking and feeling matches what you say and do. It's really important to like make sure that relationships don't go awry, or that there isn't confusion and misunderstanding in relationships. Like you need to be sure that what you're thinking and feeling matches what you communicate and say and do to other people, so that everyone understands, and there's no hiding, there's no like concealing, there's no concealing of energy, of information that then at some point has to come out. Like 4 of Cups here is called anger. So if you're not sharing information with people around you, information that's vital to their understanding of your position, that's when integrity is not really working. Like all the parts need to be working together in a very harmonious communication kind of a way, whether that's through energy and vibes and feelings as much as it is in words and actions. All of these things are different kinds of communications. So just being clear in all ways, in all times, rather than concealing what you might be thinking and feeling, so that you're not, upsetting the status quo or upsetting a person or whatever. But it's important to understand at the end of the day, if you're not communicating clearly, but your feelings are not changing, and you are, if you're concealing what you feel and you're experiencing something different to what the people who are around you think you're experiencing, at some point that's going to come out, right? So I think it's just about learning how to practice clear and honest communication and overcoming. I think our culturally, we are, every country has a different culture, but I feel like mostly for Western cultures, we are not necessarily encouraged to be honest and truthful at all times. I think there's a lot of saving face going on. That's definitely true in Asian cultures. But I think in the era that we're living in, the times we're living in, we have to be upfront. We have to be clear and honest. Like Moon in reverse here is saying, like, you're hiding, you're holding back, you're keeping secrets, you're not revealing everything. You're kind of concealing things in ways that prevents people from understanding the real truthfulness of the situation. And that makes it difficult to work together with people, whether that's in collaboration in work, or whether that's in like life partnership, or like kind of romantic, intimate types of relationships. There needs to be full disclosure. There needs to be clarified, clear communication. And that's a practice. It doesn't necessarily come easily, but it's hard at first, but it definitely gets easier the more you start to do it and the more you practice it. So definitely kind of invoke a willingness to start to learn how to do that and work on that, because that will definitely shift the quality of your relationships in a way that you can't even really imagine. And it will avoid a lot of heartache and pain. You have 2 6s here, both in reverse, so it's describing this kind of disharmony, a lack of clarity. Like, again, more about things being hidden, I feel. And then here in this quadrant, in the hubs and fears position, you have Child of Crystals reversed with the Woman of Wands in reverse. So I feel that this is describing like your journey on your healing path, as one being where you are becoming much more refined and attuned to your emotional body, to your intuition, to your gut feelings, to your your senses. Your senses are becoming more refined, but you'll find that, and that's part of a learning and a growing a journey that you've been on for quite some time. But again, I would say that quality, that skill, will become more and more refined once you start to really put into practice like honest communication, because you'll get a feedback loop happening where you can just like actually get instant awareness, instant confirmation of things if you start to just like express with verbally, and just be more open to sharing, be more willing to be vulnerable and raw and honest, and you'll see that like your life will change. The kind of relationships that you have will definitely change, and there'll be less confusion. You have here delusion in the outcome position. That's the 10 of Crystals. Honesty in all things. Bottom of the deck, we have 7 of Cups, Child of Cups reverse, the Magician, and the 4 of Worlds. So now we have another 4. There's 3 4s there. So again, it is about like reestablishing yourself as an entity, as a creature of understanding in the earthly realm, using like tapping in, really accessing your feelings, your emotions, your senses, your sensitivities becoming heightened, and starting to channel your magic. I love seeing the Magician here in this reading here. I feel that the Magician here in your reading is really just letting you know that you have, I feel that you have a lot more ability than you may realize. You have a lot more capacity in an energetic way, in a telepathic way, in a like refined. You have access to energies that you may not be aware of. And I think this process, while maybe painful, is really helping to expose you to things that you might not otherwise have access to. So gratitude is also a key part of what's going on here. And like facing your fears and understanding that like the things that you're afraid of, you know, if you're afraid of hurting someone, or if you're afraid of being honest, if you're afraid of revealing and sharing, that's actually the direction to go. Because in the end, if you avoid those things, they don't disappear, they don't go away, they compile, they build up, they grow, and eventually it's going to look for an access point to come out, and it could end up being much more dramatic than if you were just willing to be uncomfortable for a moment and share something along the way and give it a release, rather than it building up and building up and building up to the point of like a huge, catastrophic, very dramatic and rather unnecessary moment. So I feel that's it for your reading. Let me just check over here, Capricorn, make sure I've covered everything. Yeah, I feel that's it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your subscription. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. I hope you found that insightful, and I hope there's some things in there that you can work with and utilize. Do watch that again now, and perhaps again at the end of the month, give it another review. You might find that there is some helpful details in here that you missed the first time that will become more relevant as events unfold. And yeah, thanks again for your time. I will see you in next month's reading.